You would think that everyone would take care to protect their health, but they don't. We know that good diets, regular exercise, low stress are known protections against heart disease. Yet we act and live as if those protective factors need such little attention. We know that low anxiety, good moods, affable relationships are well-known protections against psychological disorders and mental illness. Yet we act as if high anxiety, turbulent moods, hostile relationships are uncontrollable and are the inevitable parts of our everyday life. We know that being surrounded by a nurturing, caring presence of good people in our childhood, in our adolescence, in our old age, enjoying the good presence of others, and just as important, being a good presence to others, protects us against unhappiness, protects us against a fearful existence, protects us against an angry outlook on life, protects us against the incubation of many disorders and illnesses. But do we take any notice? If you go to the Psalms that I read to you today, Psalm 110, 111, my version of them, you will recognize that there, those ancient sages, centuries ago, they knew then what we evade even now, the protective factors of our health and happiness. It ought to surprise us how people, or other people of course, do silly and senseless things. Things that are mindless and meaningless. Things that are demoralizing and destructive. Yet we blink and go on. On this Remembrance Day, and in this Remembrance season, we're being amply supplied by books and magazines recalling that war, 1914, 1918. Some refer to that war as a nation-making war, as a people-making war, and yet the current accounts, many of them, are stating in very strong terms that it was an exercise in stupidity and meaninglessness, and setting the scenes for one subsequent war, many subsequent wars, all enshrining the myth that wars are the way to solve our problems, even though millions will always die to defend that myth, that others might live to fight another day. We know how important it is to find some meaning in life, and yet we sell it out. We sell out on it. If meaning comes from the cruel death of millions, is that meaning worth protecting for our health and happiness? Our health and happiness? The cost is enormous. So let's leave that for a moment and come down to the smaller aspects of our own life. We know how critical it is to find a worthwhile meaning in life. We keep saying it, don't we? If only I could find a meaning to what's going on around me. But then we evade it. We always seek it in unrewarding places, in places where it will not be found. In trying to prove that there is a meaning to life, our life, We race down stressful pathways. We provoke unhappiness and stress in ourselves and others. And then we give up. And we throw our hands in the air and say, it's not worth it. But without recognizing it, even though we say we're giving up, without recognizing it, we continue to carry that unresolved stress in our bodies. Discontent, disharmony, distrust in our minds, and disagreeableness and dysfunction in our relationships. Singly and together, there you have the fertile field for a range of health problems and a range of unhappiness, with no control over which organ of our body or which aspect of our life will carry the symptom and sign that things are out of harmony. In a recent study, the authors of a paper on the meaning of life made several assertions. Listen to them, if you will. People who feel they have a meaning to their life, people who say they have a meaning to their life, describe a higher quality of life, especially in their older years. Second, people who have a meaning to life report a sense of better health in their life. They see it as a factor in living longer. They see it as a factor slowing down their decline in older years. What are we talking about? They're saying that having a meaning to life will slow down our decline. More than that, the study shows that a meaning to life gives a decreased risk of Alzheimer's disease. Can this be true? People with a meaning to life have a lower incidence of psychological and psychosomatic disorders. They show less incidence of depression. They express high adaptation to occupational changes in their workplace. They look for positive ways. People with a meaning, feel they have a meaning to life, are more likely to look for positive ways to solve their problems and make the necessary adaptations. Or in social relationships, people with a meaning to their life are more likable, so the study says. They're more socially appealing. But the authors then go on to say, important as the experience of meaning in life is to human existence, it remains an experience shrouded in mystery. Meaning in life bears the unlikely distinction of being recognized as and at once a necessity of life, but also an increasingly rare commodity in our life. If meaning in life is thought to play a role in our healthy survival, why do we avoid the necessary work in getting it in place, getting that meaning of life in place? In truth, it is not all that easy. If you found meaning in your life once and then you lost it, how do you get it back? And how do you then protect it? We might have education in so many other areas, but in this critical area, we are surprisingly ignorant. So today I'm going to try and fill in a few gaps, at least for my own self, and I hope that it might be meaningful for you. And in doing so, I'm going to talk about our known experiences, but I'm also going to relate it to the scripture readings that we took today. Now, I've heard well-educated people, adults, say of their mother and father, regular church going, they say, our mother and father, they went to church right through from their teenage years to their old age, but it did not protect my father from the melanoma that killed him at the age of 60. What good was it? So why waste your time? Religion is not a protective factor, surely, if that's what happens. So with that backdrop, I'll now proceed. What we know is this. Psychological awareness and teachings over the last century, or nearly a century, have emphasized the importance of the child being held within a good holding environment. At different stages of life and faced with different challenges and traumas of life, we all need a good holding environment. What is it? It's marked by a strong sense of who we are, a self, an accepted and affirmed person of worth. It shows in a strong sense of having a secure, stable place in the world. It shows in a strong sense of personal and interpersonal adaptability, able to adapt. A good holding environment gives us this baseline to adapt. It gives us a strong sense of being part of something larger than ourselves, something meaningful. A good holding environment is a protective factor, vital to our health and also to our happiness. Secondly, the awareness that never far away there is a good supportive presence. We need it. Preferably many such supportive presences. Do you have those presences, a presence that's supportive in your life? A good supportive presence provides multiple reassurances when you most need them for coping with life's difficulties. It provides multiple possibilities of adapting and growing. A good supportive presence provides us with multiple possibilities, multiple stimulations for our imagination and our inspiration. A good supportive presence is a good protection for our health and for our happiness. Thirdly, we need to have a belief that we're on a pathway. Oh yes. Did you notice in the Old Testament? Those people knew they were on a pathway. They believed they'd been given that pathway. But even so, they needed something to guide them and hold them on the pathway. It was known that they could easily get off the pathway. So instead of taking the shortest pathway, they were told to take the roundabout pathway so that they'd keep on. But the pathway, we need to believe that there is a pathway, whether it's forwards, backwards, sideways, whatever, a pathway. A pathway provides a direction, a purpose, a meaning. It provides a sense of deciding, choosing, the capacity to choose. It is a pathway as being aware that there are other people on the pathway. And they can be helpful and you can be helpful for them. If you have no such pathway, you're likely to wander hither and thither. You're likely to come to a standstill and say, I don't know where I'm going anymore. Nowhere. I'm fixed on the spot. I'm in the cul-de-sac. Realizing that there is a pathway is a vital protective factor for your health and happiness. Fourth, we've been given many gifts in life, all of us, even though we might not stop to count them, we might not stop to recognize them. But one amazing gift is surely the capacity to recreate ourselves, to find something new in ourselves. The capacity, what I'm calling of reshapealescence, my word. Reshaping your life after whatever has occurred. If we don't reshape, we get stuck. knowing you have that capacity. Good. But then link it to the discovery of your latent resilience, and you have a strong protective capacity for health and happiness. Test it. And number 5. Oh yes, I'll say it again. Many people say, look, why bother? Why bother? Too much effort. Let me just coast along, would you? And we all do that. Fortunately, we do coast along, but perhaps we could do it better. Because sometimes, perhaps, something happens. And then we start wondering, what did that mean? What sense do I make of what's happening to me? Some of us, of course, trade on an old bank account in terms of our protective factors, hoping that we'll just get through. But sometimes we need to put more into the bank. And the scriptures today remind us of our inbuilt capacity to join our intelligence with a higher intelligence. It doesn't say that in those words, but that's what it means. That we are walking along with another presence, a higher intelligence, and as we get in touch with that higher intelligence, we're making better choices. We're more alert to the needs of others and the needs of ourselves. Joining our intelligence, which is often higher than we think. That intelligence that's within us, with a higher intelligence. They said their God would go ahead of them and guide them to the right path. And he would be a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. Or imagine that, would you? Imagine? They were not referring to some physical cloud, some physical fire. They were in the realm of myth and metaphor, where they were carried along by a sense of a presence, where they felt a mantle of safety around them, where their presence to each other gave them a sense of security and altogether a sense of feeling in harmony with one another. They were people of intelligence, intelligently facing an unknown, unpredictable pathway, but positively placing their intelligence alongside of a greater intelligence. We, in fact, are doing it every day, even though we mightn't stop to say it. We go to the teacher, we go to the doctor, we go to many people, and they are representing to us, they are conveying to us that higher intelligence, protection for health and safety, and the renewal of your hope and happiness. So there are some protective factors we all know are there. Let me say them again. A good holding environment, a supportive presence or influence, a belief in the pathway, a capacity to recreate ourselves, and the joining of our intelligence with a higher intelligence. Now, many people find religion and faith well down on their list of helpful, effective resources to protect them and bring them a realistic happiness. The happiness that they say they wish to have and require. And so they're a little bit like the children of the adult parents I mentioned at the beginning of the address. They look at certain incidents and say, it didn't help us, it didn't help our father, it's no good. Religion has no protective power when it comes to burglary and theft. Why, even churches can fall victims to thieves and robbers. Some of you will remember the visit of Dr. Malcolm Sinclair to this church. 2 visits, in fact. He came from Metropolitan Church in Toronto, in Canada. Well, when he went back home after his last visit, he had a woodcarver make 2 mice to remind him of his visit to Melbourne. And he put these 2 little wooden mice with their hats on their head in the church, up in this part of the church. He called one Francis and one McNabb. But someone has stolen those mice. They're missing, like my mobile phone. So he wrote to me the other day to say the mice went missing. But he said, we've recreated them. Resilience, you see. He reacted to the loss, and now he has up on his pulpit in a safer place, I hope. I know he's listening to this address too, so I better tell him, put them in a safer place, Malcolm. Francis II is there. And McNabb, take 2, sitting in Metropolitan Church, Toronto. Now, religion does not protect us against the burglar, but it does protect us against becoming permanently despondent about our losses. Religion does not protect us against the deterioration of our aging and our forgetfulness, but it does protect us against becoming permanently despondent. Religion does not protect us against the moods of life, but it does protect us from being permanently stranded in our despondency. So in 2015, next year, we will be looking again at discovering the value of spirituality and learning the ways of strengthening and revitalizing the human spirit. Lest we become too despondent, lest we lose our contact with those good things that can protect our health and our happiness and well-being. While religion usually is about the externals of religion, the creeds, the doctrines, the givens by religions, the committees, and all of that, spirituality is for the most part about the internals, the internal strengths, the interpersonal mysteries of human interaction and growth. Religion might speak about finding and protecting a quiet spirit, but spirituality is the experience of that quiet spirit. Whereas religion too often has given cause for hostility and destructiveness, spirituality is about creating and recreating harmony, peace in our environments, in our internal environments, and carry over into our external environments too. So for my 5 protective factors again, and maybe a 6th, being part of a holding environment, having a supportive presence, a supportive influence, having a belief in your pathway, knowing your capacity to recreate yourself, joining your intelligence with a higher intelligence. And then a 6th, embracing a spiritual awareness, a spiritual openness, and inner spiritual strength. These are part of your protective factors of your health and happiness. And we will see far greater awareness of those 6 factors in the future, far greater study of them. That's what I think we need to do. Why not? Why not? If they are indeed significant ingredients for our health, happiness, longevity, why not? But more than that, they are the protective factors maintaining our focus in life. When things are being torn out of focus, we need protection for our focus. They are protective factors in maintaining a good way of being in the world when so much undermines us in our being in the world. They are protective factors of our coping strengths. our strength of spirits when we're going through difficult and distressing times. Protective factors. So there they are, 5 plus 1, 6 important factors. And the sixth again was embracing that spiritual awareness, that spiritual openness, that inner spiritual strength. Because sooner or later, but always sooner, we need it. We do. We will. Please stand. Say with me the prayer, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And the blessing. May the God you see in all the colours of creation arouse in you a sense of awe and wonder. May the God who is a sacred presence be real to you. May the God who is a source of inspiration and courage keep calling you forwards. May your God go with you and bless you today and always.